Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. As we have set the target of completing 200 books in this summer, 200 book summaries in this year, we are here on the book number 44 in the Q2, the fourth book. And the name of the book that we have today is Making Great Relationships, written by Rick Hanson, who is a doctorate PhD. And what does that book all contains about is simple practices for solving conflicts, building connection, and fostering love. This book is a practical guide to build nourishing, healthy, communicative relationships. It shares simple strategies designed to troubleshoot conflict and break unhealthy cycles, as well as best practices for deepening and strengthening positive relationships. A small information about the author. Dr. Richard Hanson is a psychologist, a family and couples counselor, and the New York best-selling author of Hardwiring Happiness and Buddha's Brain, among other titles. So the main lessons will be read by Sony, and we will be listening as well as taking digital notes. And I'll come up with a mind map lesson after shortening all the lessons in the mind map. Over to you, Sony. Go ahead and all the best.
Thank you, Akhil. I hope my voice is clear. Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. Let's look into this book, Making Great Relationships. It's a practical guide to building nourishing and healthy communicative relationship. It shares simple strategies designed to troubleshoot conflict and break unhealthy cycles, as well as best practices for deepening and strengthening positive relationships. Our relationships with others, partners, family, friends, colleagues, can be the source of life's greatest joy. They can also cause us grief, pain, and frustration. Many of us take a more satisfying relationship for granted. Sorry to say, but that's the fact. Viewing challenging relationships as fixed problems, but let me open up something to you. The truth is that there is a skill to creating and sustaining great relationships. Just with simple techniques, you can troubleshoot and strengthen poor relationships. Our relationships have our sense of well-being. It gives deep meaning and connections. And building a better relationship with yourself lays the foundation for better relationship with others, even for dealing with challenging relationships. To become our own best friend, you need to open up to yourself, to others through empathy and kindness. How do we can also turn love outward towards those around us? As human, we have been gifted with an incredible power of empathy, which allows us to perceive glimpses of others, other people's inner lives and emotional states. Empathy is the foundation of great relationships. Where empathy is lacking, misunderstanding and miscommunication inevitably arises. So train your empathy muscle by applying a respectful curiosity to the people around you. Notice what they are saying. How are they acting? And here, try to understand what they might be feeling. What do you think is causing them to feel this way? If you find other people difficult to read, focus on their eyes, our eyes, and many micro moments we make around them tend to be our most expressive feature. At the same time, as you're building your capacity for empathy, explore how you can make kindness your default mode. Kindness, as a general rule, if you approach others with warmth and consideration, they are likely to respond to you with the same. Make a list of ways to be kind that feel authentic to you. Small and simple things are best, like smiling at a neighbor or emailing an old friend to say hello. Include people you might not normally be kind to on your list. The person you speak when you call a customer helpline. For an example, at first, the deliberate act of kindness might feel superficial, but you will soon move from doing kind things regularly to simply being kind, and in turn, inviting kindness from others. It's hard, of course, to be kind to everyone, but as much as you're able, try not to put anyone out of your heart. We all have people in our lives who are, let's say, challenging. A co-worker who drives you up to the wall, an aunt who taunts. How can you extend kindness to these people? First, remember that kindness is not approval. You can be kind to someone without condoning their actions. Second, set boundaries to protect yourself. Make it clear to your aunt that you won't talk with her if she continues and gets nasty with her words. Finally, find a trusted friend you can vent to so you can release your negative feelings about this person. Remember, being kind and approaching those around you from a place of empathy and love doesn't mean you should act like a doormat. You need to keep in mind your needs too. No, some techniques for asserting yourself and your needs. For that, don't avoid conflict. Instead, navigate it well. Even the healthiest relationships are marked by conflict and confrontation. In fact, if they weren't, they wouldn't be very healthy at all. But conflict can still be unpleasant. If you have ever felt frustrated or anxious when a fight flares up, or if you find yourself exploding with rage whenever you're challenged, you need to develop strategies to calmly and confidently deal with conflict. And here we get started. First, find your footing. Quite literally, in a fight, it can be hard to stay mentally grounded. Instead, pay attention to how you're physically grounded. Force yourself to focus on the feel of your feet on the ground. Take deep breaths and tune into physical sensation you are experiencing. Try and find the calm centeredness. Return to the facts of the fight. Clarify what has been done, what has been said, and what the intent was behind those actions and words. You and your partner may not be seeing eye to eye, but if it is safe to do so, establish some key facts, at least get you on the same page. Finally, make a plan for dealing with issues that arises in the conflict. It could be something concrete like creating a chore roster for you and your roommates. It could be something more holistic, like committing to practicing meditation and breathing with the objective of being less frustrated. Remember that your plan doesn't have to include your partner in this conflict. It does not have to include people on which you get tiff with. Sometimes they may not be willing to do so. So just take the ownership and do it all by yourself. The other strategy could be use anger as a tool, because that's precisely what it is. Our anger has something to tell us. The only problem is when we are experiencing deep anger, we are not well placed to listen to its message. Here are some questions which can help you at that moment. How to channelize your anger to your own benefit. Ask, what does my anger feel like in my body? pay attention to the physical sensation that accompany anger, like clenching teeth or tightening muscles. Learn to recognize them before anger fully takes over. Then you may ask, what is my anger trying to tell me? Maybe, for an example, you are snapping at others before you are overworked. Your anger might be telling you to start turning down work projects. Other question could be, what is my anger trying to hide? Often we lean into anger because we don't want to face the other, more vulnerable feeling of hurt, jealous, or regret underpinning it. But if we can't work through these underlying feelings, our anger will never fully resolve. And the other question could be, will I be able to work through these questions when I'm in the grip of anger? Probably not, at least not immediately. So try and work through them after an episode of rage and gradually bring more mindfulness into the way you experience anger. Going forward, make a commitment not to act from anger. You don't have to stop feeling angry, but be purposeful in how you direct this useful emotion. For an example, instead of reacting in the moment you feel angry, wait for a moment. Wait for the appropriate time to talk through the issue firmly and clearly. Take a break when you feel a conversation is getting heated. Speaking and acting out of anger takes the focus away from what you are expressing and transfer it on how you are expressing it. When you take anger out of equation, you can communicate clearly and focus on finding resolution that works. So the usage of words matters the most. Fine-tuning the way you speak to others can bring radical positive results. Use verbal strategies that will encourage better communication across your relationships. First off, ask questions. They signal a genuine interest in others' experience and feelings. Poisely, playful, or personal questions like, what was your first kiss like? Can deepen intimacy in friendships and romantic relationships. In a conflict, ask questions. Can you take some of the heat out of the intense exchange? Questions like, what would it look like if you got what you wanted here? And are there other things you want that haven't been addressed? Now you're considering others' feelings. This can help you move on argument towards productive resolutions. That's how powerful this can be. Next, aim to meet the ideas and interests of your spouse, friends, or colleagues with general support. Share practical concerns only when they are relevant and avoid a negative or dismissive tone entirely. Relationships work best when we feel our partners are co-enthusiastic, who are open to same possibilities we are. If someone else has a valid critic of your behavior, own it, but don't dwell on it. Admit your failing. Explore how your partner might support you to avoid that failing in the future. And then move on without tit for tat. It was rude and disrespectful of me to look at my phone while we were talking. This could be one example. Going forward, maybe we can save relationship discussing for the evening when I'll be less distracted by work. Now, what do you think about ordering pizza for dinner? This is a small example. Talk about talking. Take time to check in with the people who are important to you about how you are doing communication wise. When communication gets rocky, focus on the future, not the past. Say things like going forward, like I would like to stop making comments about my body. Be sure to also address any needs or preferences you have. For example, you could say, I know people in your family talk over each other, but I feel frustrated and uncomfortable when I am constantly interrupted. Tell people how you want, no matter how close your relationships are. Other people aren't mind readers. If you need something from them, then you aren't providing, tell them. If they aren't providing, tell them, because they are not mind readers. And be specific. Instead of, I want to do your fair share, try saying, it would really help me if you did the laundry without me having to ask. Instead of, I want you to be more affectionate, say things like, I would like it if we held hands while we are watching television. Yeah. This would be the right and positive approach for the healthy relationship. Finally, consolidate gains. When you are communicating clearly and openly with others, you will resolve issues and find ways to move forward. Celebrate each small win and don't be tempted to move from one conflict to next. Building great relationships take time and work. You don't want to destabilize your progress by focusing on everything that remains to be done. Instead, be inspired by all that you have achieved so far and get energized by the achievements to overcome. So finally, what do you say here? Your relations can be your greatest source of joy and frustration. It's natural that you want to change them from better to the best. By trying to change the others can be an impossible task. Instead, focus on your own style of relating to others. This will not only improve your mental and emotional well-being, it will encourage those around you to do the same. Thank you, and I hope you use all these strategies to make your relationship a better, enriching experience for yourself. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sony. Thank you so much for sharing that powerful wisdom on relationships building. Let me share my mind map. I have jotted down a few points when you are reading. Let me share my screen. Hope so my screen is getting visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Great. We are going to see few key lessons and 3 questions that are that we have learned from this summary just now. The key lessons that we can take from here is our relationships with others, either it may be partners, either it may be friends, colleagues, family, can be the source of life's greatest joy. Remember this, our relationship with anyone can be the source of life's greatest joy. Become your own best friend. Open yourself up to others through empathy and kindness. Don't avoid conflict. Instead, navigate your conflicts with the help of strategies. Use your words while you are speaking with your partners. Focus on your own style of relating to others. How do you relate to others yourself? Focus on your own style. Let us see the 3 questions and answers from this book. How can you extend kindness to these people, or how can you extend kindness to other people? How to avoid conflicts? How to improve better communication in relationships? Let us see each and every question. You can be kind to someone without condemning their actions. Set boundaries to you protect yourself. Suppose you are going to talk with your partner. In this example, he has given an example of one person who wants to talk with auntie, his auntie, but she's drunk. He set the boundary that he should not talk with his aunt when she is clearly drunk. Like the same way, set boundaries to protect yourself and to maintain the relationships healthy. Extend kindness to those people by not talking to them when they are in difficult time or when they are in unpleasant time. Find a trusted friend you can vent to so you can release your negative feelings about this person. Suppose you are in your family, your wife or your spouse is in a difficult, unhandling stage, unhandling condition. At that time, you will not able to suppress your emotions. So for that reason, the author is saying that find a trusted friend so you can release all your negative feelings about that person. Remove all your negative feelings. Don't make it your feelings as a dustbin. Let us move on to the next one. How to avoid conflicts. How to avoid conflicts? Take deep breaths, tune into physical sensations you are experiencing as of that moment. Try and find the calmed centeredness. As I was listening to this, I was felt like it was saying about the Vipassana meditation. In that Vipassana meditation, we used to focus on Anapana, which is nothing but deep breath, and tuning into the physical sensations we are experiencing, which is main essence of the Vipassana meditation. Try to find the calm centeredness. I remember that meditation technique. Try to find an even keel mentally. So try to find very keen. And the second strategy is find your footing quite literally. How to do that? Force yourself to focus on the feeling on your feet on the floor. Whenever you are walking, try to focus on the foot while you are keeping that foot on the floor. How do you feel that? When you touch your foot on the floor, how do you feel that? Try to focus on that. Pay attention to how you are physically grounded. These two things will help you to find your footing quite literally. And the second or third strategy that we can do to avoid conflict is make a plan for dealing with the issues that arise in the conflict. Suppose you have a clash with your boyfriend or girlfriend. It could be something concrete plan you need to come up with, like creating a chores roster for you and your roommates. Try to create a plan to deal with the issues. Whenever the issues arise, try to come up with a plan to regain the relationship. And another tool that author is saying that use anger as a tool, because that's what precisely it is. You need to use anger as a tool. How to use that? Make a commitment not to act from anger. Whenever you're angry, don't do any actions at the time. Anger is injurious to health. Let us see how to avoid conflicts by asking questions to yourself. Ask these questions and identify how your body is feeling or how your feelings are about that moment or how it is going to affect you. What does my anger feel like in my body? Suppose you are in angry, how your body is moving or how your body is resonating at that moment. What is my anger trying to tell me? Identify what your anger is disclosing you. What is your anger trying to hide? identify what it is revealing you and what it is hiding you. Will I be able to work through these questions when I am in the grip of anger? Suppose when you are anger, if you are trying to ask questions, think before asking. Like, will this work or not? Will these questions work or not? Like this way, you can avoid conflicts and respond slowly before responding quickly in that time of anger. Let us see how to improve the better communication in relationships that we learned recently. Ask open questions. Ask open questions is like, make sure your partner reveal the answer for your questions. It's not like us asking random questions or asking unrelevant questions. Ask open questions. How do you, it's 3 examples are like, what was your first kiss like? People are easy to answer for that. What would it would look like if you got what you wanted here? Means, suppose you have your spouse and your spouse has to answer this question, and the question will be like, what would you like if you get what you want here? So the partner, your spouse, will definitely answer for that. Are there any other things you want to that haven't been addressed? This question opens your partner to open up their thoughts and emotions. So ask open questions to start conversation in communication. Don't rain on anyone's parade. Don't rain on anyone's parade. They have their own strategies, they have their own perceptions. Admit you are failing. Whenever you fail, admit you are failing. Don't have that ego clashes that you always being right. Admit you are failing. Tell people what you want. If you don't have the clarity with your relationship, then again it will lead to conflict. So to avoid conflict, tell people what you want clearly. Clarity, set boundaries, and consolidate gains. Whenever you have gains or whenever you have conversation, try to consolidate the gains and make sure the next communication of with your relationship is more fruitive and more positive. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see in the revision session tomorrow. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing, make sure your relationships progressing greatly.